Shalom. We're starting Perek Yud Aleph. We just read about the assembly of Klal Yisrael in Mitzpah, where Shmuel announced that Shaul is Melech, and some people went with Shaul. Some people said, "Ma Yoshienu Zeh, what is he going to do?" And they were mavazeh him. Shaul, in his humility, was macharish. He was silent, and Shaul is going home. And now we're going to discuss the battle which kind of established Shaul as the real leader of Am Yisrael. And we start off with a bad fellow, bad guy, who is called Nach Ammoni. He is the king of Ammon, and that, of course, is the territory east of the Yarden. Ammon comes from Lot, and generally speaking, the Torah prohibits us from waging war with Moab or Ammon unless they attack us first, and this is what Nachash is going to do. He is given the name Nachash because he was like a poisonous, vicious snake. Vayal Nachash Ammoni. Nachash Ammoni, the king of Ammon, Vayichan al Yavesh Gilad. He decides to go against the town of Yavesh Gilad. Now, Yavesh Gilad we actually mentioned before in the book of Shoftim. Yavesh Gilad had been massacred by other Jews because of their refusal to participate in the war against Binyamin in Pilegesh Begiva, but apparently they reconstituted. They're now a city again. Vayimru kol anshe Yavesh el Nachash. So the Anshe Yavesh Gilad said to Nachash Ammoni, who was harassing them, attacking them, victimizing them, Karas lanu bris, if you give us a covenant of peace, a peace treaty, v'navdeka, we will worship you, we will be your subjects. Vayomer aleihem Nachash Ammoni, and Nachash Ammoni said to them, B'zayis echreis lachem, you want to have a deal with me? Here's my condition. B'nekor lachem kol ein yamin. If each one of you gouge out your right eye, then I will agree to live with you in peace. V'samtia cherpa al kol Yisrael. And this type of harassment was a busha, a shame and a humiliation, not only for Yavesh Gilad, but for all of Am Yisrael. Vayimru elav zikna Yavesh, and the elders of Yavesh Gilad said to Nachash, or Nachash's representatives, Heref lanu shivas yamim. Give us 7 days to consider your proposal. V'nishlecha malachim b'chol gavol Yisrael, and we will send messengers among the rest of the nation as to whether we should accede to your proposal. V'yein Moshia osanu, and if nobody comes to our assistance, v'yotz sanu eilecha, we will surrender to you. Again, to me, it's very, very peculiar. Why would Nachash even agree to this? They basically say to Nachash, hey, before you attack us, give us 7 days so we could see if we can get other Jews to help us. I mean, why would Nachash do that? But apparently Nachash was so arrogant that he felt, let him come, I'll defeat them as well. Vayavai hamalachim givat Shaul, so shaluchim, messengers came from Yavesh Gilad to the hill of Shaul, to the area where Shaul lived. Vayidabru advarim baznei, and they said what Nachash is threatening them with. Vayisu kol ha'ames kailam vayivchu, and everybody started crying because they felt this is an impossible enemy, too powerful for us. V'hine Shaul ba acharei habakar min hasadeh. Shaul was plowing, so he was behind the cattle as he was plowing the field, and he came back from the plowing. Vayomer Shaul ma la'am ki yibku. Why are the people crying? Vayisapru lo es divrei anshe Yavesh. And they told Shaul the message that they had received from the people of Yavesh Gilad. Vatitzlach ruach elokim al Shaul, and the Spirit of God, this refers to courage and gevurah, descended upon Shaul b'shamo es advar ma'ela, when he heard these words, vayicha rapay mi'ayit, and he was furious. Vayikach tzemed bakar, he took a pair of cattle, vayinatcheyu, he cut it into pieces. Again, it's very similar to Bilegish Begiva, although that was a human being. Vayishalach b'chol gevul Yisrael biyad hamalachim leimor, and he sent a piece of meat of the carcass to every tribe, and the message was, leimor asher enenu yaitze acharei Shaul v'acharei Shmuel, anyone that does not join the battle and follow Shaul and Shmuel, because Shaul understands that his nitzachon is only if he's connected to the Torah and the Kedusha of Shmuel. Ko yasel livkaro. So again, Shaul is not threatening to kill people, but he's saying that what was done to this cow will be done to your cow, bakar, if you don't come. Vayipol pachad Hashem alam, and people were inspired by their fear of Hashem, their reverence for Hashem. Vayetzu ki ish echad. So they all joined Shaul in the war against Nachash Ha'amayni. And the pasuk says, Vayifkedem babazak, and he counted them in the place of Bazak. Bazak was the town where the army was counted. Vayiyu b'nei Yisrael shalosh meot elef v'yish Yehuda shloshim elef. So Shaul gathered a huge army, 300,000 people of Klal Yisrael, and of that, 30,000 alone were from the tribe of Yehuda. So again, it's a machlokas exactly. Is it 300,000 plus 30,000? Or are the 30,000 part of the 300,000? But be it as it may, it was a huge army, either 300,000 or 330,000. Vayomru lamalachim abayim. And then they said to the Shaluchim who came from Yavesh Gilad, that's the city under attack, Kai Saimrin li ish Yavesh Gilad, this is what you shall respond to the people of Yavesh Gilad. Machor tia lachem teshua. Tomorrow, by the time we get there tomorrow, you will have a great salvation. Kechaim hashemesh, at the height of the day, meaning high noon. V'yavo hamalachim v'yagidu li'anshe Yavesh. And the Shaluchim returned and gave the news to Anshe Yavesh. Vayismachu, and they rejoiced. Vayimru Anshe Yavesh. And then the Anshe Yavesh can say back to Nachash, Machor neitzei aleichem, tomorrow we will come out to you. V'yasisem lanu kechol hatov beinechem, and you can do what you want. Meaning they're luring Nachash to think that they're going to surrender because they know that tomorrow there will be a great nitzachon. Vayihi mimachras, and it was the next day. Vayasem Shaul esam shaleisha rashim. Shaul divided his army into 3 groups. Vayavo b'toch hamachne b'shmaris haboker, and they entered the enemy camp early in the morning at the crack of dawn. Vayaku es Ammon ad chaymayim, and they smote the Ammonites until high noon, 6 hours. Vayi hanisharim, and whoever survived of the Ammonites, v'yafutzu, they scattered. V'lo nisharu bam shnayim yachad, they were scattering in so many directions, you didn't even have 2 Ammonites together. Each one was going in their own way. Vayimer ha'am el Shmuel, mi ha'aymer Shaul yimloch aleinu, tenu ha'anashim unumisem. So now the people realize that Shaul is a great leader. So they turn to Shmuel. Those people who were saying, Bitmiya, Shaul is going to rule over us. They were Meireid b'malchus, they're rebelling against the malchus. Give us those people and we will kill them. And Shaul, B'dafka, said, no one should be punished because they were mavazami. Vayomer Shaul, Lo yumas ish bayayim hazeh. No one should die today. Ki hayom asa Hashem teshua b'Yisrael. Hashem has made a great, great salvation. This is a day of gratitude, a day of simcha, a day of joy. It is not a day where we should punish. Vayomer Shmuel el ha'am. So after mitzvah, Shmuel then says to the people, L'chu v'nelcha ha-Gilgal. Let us go to Gilgal. Now remember, Shmuel had told Shaul to meet him in Gilgal. And what are we going to do at Gilgal? Unechadesh sham hamlucha. We are going to be mechadesh. We're going to renew the malchus. So again, it's interesting. Shaul was privately anointed by Shmuel, and then there was a public announcement in Mitzpah, but that was before the war of Yavesh Gilad, and there were many, many people who didn't accept Shaul as melech. But now, because of the military victory, Shmuel feels there needs to be a new gathering, to be mechadesh, to renew the malchus, so that even the dissenters will openly and publicly acknowledge Shaul as melech. And that's going to be in Gilgal, and that is called Chidush HaMlucha. Vayelchu kol am Gilgal. Everybody went to Gilgal. V'yamlichu sham et Shaul lifnei Hashem b'Gilgal. Again, the lifnei Hashem is always a little bit of a problem. Perhaps they brought the Aron there from Kiryat Yearim, or lifnei Hashem just means the Shechina was there. Vayizbechu sham zvachim shulamim lifnei Hashem. They brought shulamim. Again, a bit of a kasha. Before Shmuel said, we'll bring olot and shlamim. Here it just says shlamim. Vayismach sham Shaul v'chol anshei solad miyad. And there was a tremendous amount of simcha, both on the part of Shaul and all of the Anshei Yisrael. And this was the Chidush HaMlucha that was in Gilgal. Ad kan Perek Yud Aleph.